Yes, you can also visualize the bottom Ekman layer. So what is the bottom Ekman layer? The bottom Ekman layer establishes in a rotating fluid once you have a flow relative to the bottom. And that's shown in little sketches. Here you have a horizontal flow, and due to friction with the seafloor, you get something that we call a bottom Ekman spiral, bottom Ekman layer. The speed of the flow becomes weaker towards the seafloor and the direction change. Okay, and if you look from above, you can show that here in this left diagram. Okay. Above the seafloor, above the Ekman layer, the flow is here to the right. Okay. As you go closer to the seafloor, the direction changes, okay, and the speed decreases, and near the seafloor, it's 45 degrees deflected to the left. And this is for the northern hemisphere situation for that time. It all swaps around directions if you change the rotation direction. Okay. So now how do you visualize, how do you create that in a tank? Again, you start with a tank, which is under solid body rotation. Everything rotates at the same rate. There is no motion relative to the seafloor in that case. But you can create that motion by changing the rotation rate of the tank, by speeding it up. Okay, changing it from 30 to 40 rotations per minute. Suddenly. And then you create a bottom Ekman layer. How do you visualize it? You visualize it by adding a dye streak, a dye that touches the seafloor. Okay, and if you look from above, you should only see a patch of the dye, of that dye above. But if you change the rotation rate, if you create that flow, something happens near the near the bottom of your tank in the Ekman layer. Sort of, I try to illustrate that on the next slide. Okay, so you have that rotation, you have that flow. Sorry, you have that fluid motion relative to the floor of your tank. Okay, and near the bottom you get the bottom Ekman layer, and in the bottom Ekman layer there's actually either an inward motion or an outward motion. Okay, and so you can see that your dye streak becomes deformed near the bottom. This is the bottom Ekman layer, and you can visualize these inward or outward. Okay, so that's the bottom Ekman layer, and the bottom Ekman layer plays a central role in the process that we call upwelling. Okay? In upwelling, wind-driven coastal upwelling. That's a key process, and we can see it here. Okay, all right. Okay. All the other text that you see, by the way, behind me is that's the stuff that you. These are from this text is taken from the instructions. You should really read the instructions before you come to the Prac. Okay.